If you are fighting yourself and saying, why aren't I standing up? It's because you know deep within yourself, the absolute truth is that standing up to them or leaving that person is more difficult. So the question is, how do I deal with toxic people and toxic parents who are the cause of my anxiety, and I can never stand up for myself? This is probably the most important question that comes up time and time again. How do I stand up to people who are the cause of trouble in my life? One of the hardest lessons I had to learn about myself was that the mind, given a choice of pain or pleasure, will always choose pleasure. Just think about that for a moment. Your mind, every decision your mind has ever made was where it balanced two options between, is this option good or is this option going to harm me? Is this going to be painful or is it going to be pleasurable? Is this a happy choice or is this a not so happy choice? And straight away when I say that, a lot of people are going to think, whoa, that's not true. There are so many scenarios in my life where I've done something where I didn't want to do it, or I felt like I was forced to do something. Take a moment, and I know I was exactly in the same position as you, so it takes a few minutes just to try and work out whether this is actually true. Our mind, whenever there is a choice to be made, will always make the choice that is slightly happier, slightly better than the alternative. So, in a scenario where you aren't standing up to your parents, in a scenario where your parents are causing you grief, and this doesn't have to be just parents, this could be anyone that you're living with, anyone in your life who's causing you to have a negative day-to-day experience, people who now term toxic people. If you are not standing up to them, if you are not saying what you want to say to them, if you're not able to leave them, if you're not able to get out of that situation, it's only for one reason, because the alternative in your mind is more painful. If you stood up to your parents and you think about saying what you need to say, and that causes you so much anxiety, you choose the happier option to not say anything. So try and understand this. Your mind is always going to choose between, even if there are two bad options, your mind is always going to choose the one that's easier than the more painful one. And if you are fighting yourself and saying, why aren't I standing up? It's because you know deep within yourself, the absolute truth is that standing up to them or leaving that person is more difficult. Staying here, dealing with the abuse, taking the abuse is better than the fear that I have of standing up. Now the question now becomes, well, how do I make a change? The change is very simple. When the pain of staying in this relationship becomes too much, then you will do something about it. When the pain of staying in this relationship becomes more than the pain of leaving this relationship, then only then you will leave. Until then you will not leave. When the pain of you staying silent is more than the pain and the difficulty of standing up and saying what you need to say, then only you will do it. Understand that right now, the only decision that your mind ever makes is the easier option. So it is easier for you to stay silent right now. And I know when I say this, it sounds really harsh. And I know when I say this, it sounds like I'm being cruel to you and not blaming the person who's causing you all the harm. But remember, I can't talk to that person. I can only talk to you. My help is to try and see, can I do something to help you right now? If you can take comfort from knowing that actually it's true, it's too painful to get up and leave. It's too painful to stay what I need to do. Take comfort in knowing right now that it's slightly easier. I don't want to be in this situation. I know this situation is difficult for my life. It's not a great place to be, but it's better than the alternative. When it becomes so difficult When the pain of staying and doing nothing becomes so difficult, and this applies to you dealing with managers or difficult colleagues at work, or having a job where you've been thinking for a long time that I need to leave this job but I'm not doing it. It's all because your mind has chosen the easier option to stay. When the pain of staying becomes greater than the pain of leaving or standing up for yourself, only then will you do it. So you then have to ask yourself, have I reached that point where enough is enough? When you reach that point when enough is enough, you won't have to ask anyone's permission. You will just go ahead and do it. Because then the pain of doing something about it is not as bad as the pain of staying. So really, that's something for you to go back and reflect on yourself. I know it's a difficult one, and you probably have never even heard me say this before. So it's a different message. It's not one that you may have heard before, but certainly something for you to reflect on within yourself. And by all means, if this isn't a message that works for you, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Send us a message. Let's see if we can work out a different solution for you right now. But this is something that I had to learn about myself, and it's a very difficult lesson to learn. It's very hard to take that bitter pill of knowing that everything I've ever done is actually because it's been the easier option for me. I've never chosen the harder of the two options. So try and see if there is something there that you can use.